steering it is broken down.
Welcome everybody to the third round of the Formula 1 season, and we move across to Texas for the United States Grand Prix. And let's get straight into all of the news that's been breaking out over the past week. Starting off then with the issues heading down at Mercedes, and Mercedes have been targeted by many teams for their protest against the FIA. Now, to recap the whole story, Ferrari basically weren't given some constructors' points from last season, but only made the protest about this at the Australian Grand Prix. Now, the confusion is, why didn't they make this protest earlier? And Mercedes decided that if the FIA were going to harm Mercedes in the entire outcome, in which we should expect an answer from the FIA next time around in the Canadian Grand Prix, Mercedes would launch a protest. Now, this has caused a stir within the teams across the paddock. Firstly, Noah and Mason have accused Mercedes of cheating with the FIA. Of course, Noah and Mason joining into Formula 1 from IndyCar and NASCAR. They have a kind of strong view about the entire opinion. They believe that the FIA and Mercedes together are cheating, basically being biased and just being unfair with the sport, which is quite bold to say, but I mean, there's no evidence there to show that. Reese, of course, being a Mercedes driver, defends Mercedes and hits back at the targets, saying that if you can accuse anyone of cheating, you need to go and get some actual proof and evidence, shove it in my face, and then tell me what. Reese being very, very stern on this matter. Charles Leclerc believes that the FIA are hiding something as they remained quiet. Of course, we know that there is going to be a meeting next week at Canada to discuss the entire situation. But why the FIA are not saying anything further is confusing Charles Leclerc. Asked if he believes that Mercedes were cheating or involved in this in any sort of way, Leclerc remained quiet on the matter. So it looks like Canada is going to give us our next stepping stone into finding out what really is going on. Having a look then at the race news for this Grand Prix weekend itself, and obviously with this being the US Grand Prix and Mason Wood and Noah James coming from the US and being born in the US, they're excited for their home Grand Prix, of course, here at the Circuit of Americas, and they're really looking forward to getting underway and hopefully putting on a great show in front of their home crowd. Out of the Red Bull and the Ferrari, which both of them are driving for, it seems like the Red Bull looks much easier to drive than the Ferrari does. Also, comparing to the Grand Prix in Mexico last time around, the Red Bull definitely seems to have taken a slight step forward. And they're very much happy with that. Another team that's happy with their car is Jaguar, as they have brought new parts to the floor, which they have believed to have increased the rear stability, which is something that Jaguar have been complaining about, and they're very happy with that. Mercedes look to be around about 2 to 3 tenths per second faster per lap than McLaren on race trim. In terms of qualifying simulation, both the Mercedes cars didn't get a good run, so as it stood, McLaren were 1-2 in FP2, but we don't know if that is the true case in the Grand Prix itself. And also in terms of the race simulations, were McLaren maybe doing something slightly different which caused them to be that much slower, or maybe they just genuinely were. Mercedes have got the upper hand just like they did in Mexico, but as we saw from Mexico, the fastest team didn't win the race. So let's get straight into it then for round number 3, the US Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for round number 3 of Season 5, which is the US Grand Prix. And so far, things have been going extremely well for our new team, McLaren. We've currently won the first 2 races of the season, and we're looking to try and bounce and get 3 in a row. If you guys end up enjoying today's episode, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well, as it'd be great to see all of the support coming on through. As we go then in towards qualifying, our first lap was about 7 tenths of a second off of Reese. That was just a banker lap. On our second run, we actually got a track limits warning for our going wide on the second to last corner, but it only gained us a couple of hundredths of a second, if that. Second lap was actually very, very good. We're currently in P4 at the moment. We are currently on our final lap here, and we've got about 0.3 of a second in our pocket. Make that about 2.5 of a second. As we cross the start-finish line then, it is going to be second on the grid, which is a great position to start in. You know, we get the inside line in towards turn 1, and it's a front row start, which is absolutely amazing for us. So as we have a look at the starting grid now in its entirety, so it was Lewis Hamilton that got pole position ahead of ourselves on the front row of the grid. And third place is going to be Reese, and Devin Butler qualifies in P4. My teammate Sam then qualifies in P5 ahead of the other Audi car of George Russell. A brilliant qualifying session for Audi. Then it's the two Jaguars then locking out the next row, with Max Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg locking out that row. Then it's the Red Bulls that lock out row number 5, with Mason Wood qualifying in front of Lando Norris. Then we've got the Ferraris. There's pretty much a Noah's Ark grid at the moment, with Noah James ahead of Charles Leclerc. Obviously both Wood and James in their home Grand Prix. Next up it's the Renaults then of Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, followed by the two Porsche cars of Pascal Wehrlein, Nico Rosberg. Wehrlein once again out-qualifying Nico Rosberg. Pierre Gasly also out-qualifying Carlos Sainz yet again, with the Fords locking out that row. And then the Williams car lock out the back row. It was really a 2x2 grid with Bottas in front of Lucas Weber. As we have a look at the race strategy now, we're going to be starting on the ultra soft tyres, and I decided to do ultra soft to soft. We could do the 2-stop strategy. They're very close, but I'm going to stick with the 1-stop. So that's what we're going to do today then. So as we get ready onto the grid, then we've got the 5 red lights here to start the US Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go then to get this race underway. Really quick light sequence there, but we got a great start versus Lewis Hamilton. Now in towards turn 1 we go, and that is the move done on Lewis Hamilton. We go a little bit deep there. Hamilton tries to come back at us, but we just about hold on to the position as we go in towards the S sections now. A great start for us, and we're in front of Hamilton, and we lead the pack then. It is ourselves ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Then it's Reese in behind, and then Devin Butler and Sam. A phenomenal race start, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Get in front of the Mercedes cars and put them under some pressure and just try and pull off into the distance. On to lap 2 of the Grand Prix now, and we're just pressing onwards and trying to settle ourselves into the Grand Prix with Hamilton in behind, with Reese next up in P3 as we go in towards the hairpin now, and then onto the long back straight here, where hopefully we can try and just eke out a little bit of an advantage. But as we go onto the straight here, Lewis Hamilton seems to have his engine turned up quite highly here, and now he's going to try and go for an attack here. Goes towards the outside line. I cover off the inside line very late, actually. I didn't anticipate Lewis's closing speed on myself, so I sort of had to get a little bit aggressive to defend the inside line, but we hold the position. But Hamilton, though, is going to stick with it, though, down the inside in towards the next complex of corners. Gives us a shove wide on the outside there, but we're going to hold on in there and try and fight back, and then take the inside line in towards the double left-hander. But Hamilton gets a cleaner run around the outside line as we carry on now in towards these triple left-handers here. A great complex of corners, and we just about hold on there versus Lewis Hamilton. So a great scrap there between myself and Lewis, and now Lewis is on the back foot here with Reese just in behind as we now go in towards the sector last corner, now towards the last corner here, and Reese is now looking like he's getting very close to the back there as we go a little bit wide there, but it's okay for us as they now go onto the pit straight here. Reese now getting a good closing speed on Lewis Hamilton. Will he go for it? He will go for it on Lewis Hamilton. Up the inside goes Reese into turn 1. Reese takes the position off of his own teammate, so now Reese is in second place, and I highly doubt that was team orders. That was clearly because I'd compromised compromised Hamilton quite badly. Now we're on to lap 3 of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen here is chasing after one of the Audi cars. Looks like George Russell here, and Verstappen goes towards the outside line, breaks nice and late in towards the hairpin as his teammate Hülkenberg watches in behind, and now Verstappen very much trying to scrap away with George. They go in towards the final sector now, very tight and twisty complex of corners, pretty much doing the same battle as I did versus Lewis Hamilton here. So let's see who comes out on top on this occasion. Verstappen has the outside line, so at the moment he's just about a little bit too far back, but he gets a great traction off the exit there and holds the inside line. Great overtake on George Russell, and that's the position up in his favour. Lap 4 of the Grand Prix now, and it was quite clear to see that on paper, in qualifying, Mercedes and McLaren were very, very close. Transform that into the race, and it was a different scenario. Mercedes definitely had the race pace and were faster in this first stint, and Reese now is clawing all over the back of me here. You can see now as he goes in towards the hairpin now. Reese goes for it down the inside line. We just about cover it off, but Reese gives us a shove wide on the exit there and just literally barges his way past, and that's him up into the lead now of the US Grand Prix, and we're under pressure because Hamilton now is trying to have a little look at us here as we now go onto the back straight here. Hamilton with the DRS is trying to close up onto us. He's alongside us at this stage. Reese though gives him a little bit of a block off. Hamilton locks up though going into the hairpin, but he just about gets enough to break into the corner. Now as we go in towards the final sector here, we break a little bit later, shove Lewis Hamilton wide like he should have done to us really, and maintain second place. But we have lost the lead now to Reese, and it's critical to see, do we have the pace against Reese? Of course, he had the DRS to stick with us in that time period, Now we've got to see if we can try and stick with him. Lap 6 onto lap 7 of the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has come in for his first stop of the Grand Prix, confirming he's definitely on a 2-stop strategy. For us, we're still chasing after Reese here as we go in towards the first corner now. Reese, big lock up there from Reese. That's costing the position to us, and we regain the lead of the US Grand Prix after a critical mistake there from Reese in towards turn 1. So the pressure got to him slightly in that phase, and we managed to steal the lead off of Reese. So that's great stuff for us. Now we can try and press onwards, but critically, we need to watch out for Lewis Hamilton, who's now on the 2-stop strategy and doing something different to myself and also Reese potentially in this race, as we're now on board with a couple of other fights going on down the order here. Now Nico Hülkenberg is trying to fight against Max Verstappen. Now Verstappen got past George Russell earlier. Hülkenberg got past him earlier. Now all of a sudden it looks like Mason Wood is going to try and get past him, and a big lock up there from Wood is not going to help his cause, and that is him now having to do that all over again. Lap 7 of the Grand Prix to start lap 8. This time around, Reese is now coming into the pits here. So both Mercedes cars have going for the 2-stop strategy, which is very strange. I didn't think they would do it, but now we've got bigger problems because Devon Butler is going to have a go at us now for the lead this is. And as we go in towards the first corner, Butler steals the lead of the US Grand Prix. So Butler has been rapid in that Audi all weekend long. Now he steals the lead of the US Grand Prix, and this is bad news for us. It just shows that we're not only slower than the Mercedes is at the moment, we don't quite have the pace over Devon Butler, and you can see there the tyres are starting to wear out now, so we're losing grip in this race. But now I've got to make the decision: do I come in this lap and switch to a 2-stop and cover with Mercedes, or do I stay out on my 1-stops? We go down the inside there of Devon Butler, who literally just caught him completely napping there. Or do I stick with the 1-stop strategy, do something different, have track position, and then defend against the Mercedes later on in the Grand Prix? That's the decision I now need to come to. And as we go on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix here, Devon Butler is back on our tail again, and at this stage in the race I have now committed to the 1-stop strategy. I'm not going to change my mind and follow Mercedes, because if I do, they'll have the undercut, they'll both be in front of me, and I've got to try and pass them on track, and it's just going to be an on-track battle, which I don't know if I can win. So I decided against that, and I'll take the track position and fight later on in the race, as Butler now gets the DRS here, and he's going to try and go for another overtake here as we go in towards the hairpin here, giving Butler a very tight squeeze there, and just showing him, you know, you're quite a prick, not gonna lie, so I'm gonna be a prick on the track. And as we now go through, we cover off Devon Butler there. Nice piece of defensive driving, and now we're going to be coming in at the end of this lap for our stop. And Sam also is sticking to the 1-stop strategy. He's not going to go with the 2-stop. I thought maybe if Hamilton would come in, and then Reese I saw coming in as well. Thought maybe Sam would do it as well, but clearly not. He's decided he doesn't want to do that either. So both the McLarens and the Mercedes is doing something different. Of course, this is going to be quite interesting to see who can come out on top in this affair as we now come in towards the pits here, and going on to the soft tyres we will be for our one and only stop. Sam will continue onwards for another lap. Myself and Butler, though, are coming in to do the 1-stop. So Butler is going to follow me on that front. We've also got Verstappen and one of the Red Bulls coming in as well. So it seems like it looks like it's only the Mercedes cars that are doing the 2-stop. I can't see anyone else that will be doing it. The rest of the cars will be starting on the super softs and then going to softs, which is a bit of a dull strategy to do. That's Reese going for there. That's Hamilton going for there. So both Mercedes cars then do get the jump on us, and we saw just in that brief little shot, Reese is on the ultra soft tyres. Hamilton then is on the super soft tyres. So Mercedes, despite doing a 2-stop strategy, going different way with tyres, as we've got a yellow flag there for Daniel Ricciardo, who unfortunately is out of the US Grand Prix there. So commiserations for the Renault driver, but we need to press onwards, and our first overtake is going to be on Pascal Wehrlein, the Porsche car, on the super soft tyres. It's been a rough year for Porsche, and by the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's getting any easier for them. So we now go in towards the last corner here. We've got DRS ready to go for the attack, but he just decided to let us go. He actually decided, you know what, I don't even care. I'm not even going to wait for you to have DRS. Just go, alright? Just leave me to it. Now we've got Nico Hülkenberg here, who's going for an attack on Devon Butler now in towards the first corner. So Butler and that Sam there coming up behind the two of them. So Hülkenberg is doing the 2-stop strategy as well. Butler on the 1-stop. Sam also on a 1-stop here. So this is quite interesting to see as they now go onto the back straight here. But Hülkenberg is going side by side now with Devon Butler on the straight here. Hülkenberg has the inside line. Devon doesn't have the inside line. And as they go in towards the hairpin, it is going to be Hülkenberg's position there. Locks up slightly. That gives Sam a little bit of an opening to attack Butler now as we go in towards the final sector here, showing from the helicopter cam perspective. I think Butler, though, is just a little bit too far ahead for Sam's liking, and he does cover off Sam there. So Sam being a bit opportunistic, but it doesn't work out in his favour. But a lap later, that's all going to change. Alas, Sam is going to get past Devon Butler here. So he opens up the DRS. He can go towards the inside line, and this is going to be its overtake done. Meanwhile, the other Audi of George Russell loses out to one of the Red Bulls there as Butler locks up in towards the hairpin, as Verstappen now is going to try and take advantage of this very early on. We saw Verstappen and Butler fighting earlier in the Grand Prix, and now they're going to go back at it again. Or unless it was, was it George Russell he was fighting? Yeah, it was Russell, my bad. But Verstappen there now takes over from Devon Butler. So it looks like the Audi car struggling on the soft tyres. Back at the front, Reese is now attacking the Ferrari of, well, he was attacking the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, but Leclerc locks up and gives Reese a free overtake there. So Reese didn't even need to do anything. It's the Mercedes cars out front, just having a little bit of fun, really, and trying to see how their strategies pay out. Now we're going to have a look further back here as one of the Red Bulls now attacking Devon Butler. So Butler really is struggling for performance now in this race as Mason Wood there goes down the inside of Butler, and Mason Wood starting to recover quite nicely from his poor qualifying position, and he's flying at the moment because he's now going to go for it on Max Verstappen here. So Mason Wood now goes for it down the inside, and fair play. Oh, it's a big lockup though from Mason Wood, and again we saw that in the first stint from Wood, locking up in towards that hairpin, and there goes Noah now on the inside of Esteban Ocon. So the two new drivers in Formula 1, both racing in their home Grand Prix, now trying to go at it is George Russell here, goes for it up the inside of Devon Butler. So Butler clearly has some sort of a problem because he's literally just plateaued all the way down the order. Now Russell though is going to go for it. He's going to stick it around the outside of this S section here. Let's see if they go for it now in towards here. Oh, that's some great racing from both the Audi cars there, and it's George Russell that comes out on top. On to lap 16 in the Grand Prix now, and Lewis Hamilton is staying out on his super soft tyres, but Reese is coming in now for his final stop of the Grand Prix to go onto a set of the super soft tyres, and Reese has really maximised his two-stop strategy here, going ultra soft, and then super soft. We never overtook Reese in the middle stint, so Reese is not going to have to close a considerable amount. What he does have to do, though, is overtake a few cars before he can get onto the back of us, and it's how long can he take to overtake all of those cars. Hamilton comes in now for his second stop. He went slightly more cautious than Reese did, doing super soft as his final two tyres, whereas Reese managed to use a faster compound in the middle stint. So whether that was down to tyre wear on Hamilton's behalf, or whether he just felt more comfortable on the super soft tyres, not quite sure. Speaking of that Mercedes fight back, let's see how they get on then. So Reese now, I said he's got some overtaking to do, so he's rejoined in P5, but he's gone up into P4 now with the overtake there on the Red Bull of Mason Wood. Butler, meanwhile, has just got himself past George Russell. Russell defending now from Noah in the Ferrari, and Noah is going to have a look at the inside, gets very close to the back of Devon there, but he just couldn't quite make the move stick. Reese now is going to go for that fight for P3 now, I believe this is in the race. Max Verstappen is currently holding that, not any longer. Reese now up into third in the race. He just has to overtake my teammate Sam. It is a McLaren 1-2 at the moment, and as soon as he gets Sam, as Butler there goes up the inside of George Russell, the two Audi cars going for it once again as they go in towards the S section. This time, Butler's going to have the same opportunity as what George did, and there we go. Butler holds on to the position and does the exact same move as what Russell did earlier in the race and claims the position back now. But speaking of that attack, George Russell is not happy with losing the position to Butler, and he's going to come back at him now. As we can see there, that is Mason Wood having a look at Max Verstappen, and we do have a look at that, in fact, as Mason there trying to attack the Jaguar car. The Red Bull looking very, very strong there, as one of the Williams cars there is out of the US Grand Prix. Just saw a glimpse of that as we now see the Verstappen has held onto the position. Butler and George Russell still fighting for their position, and it's Russell that comes out on top. So great fighting there between the pair of them as we now have a look at Mason Wood once again, going to go for a second attempt here to overtake Max Verstappen, and here he goes now towards the outside line. He's got a much better drive through there this time, doesn't lock up the brakes crucially, and manages to slow the car down enough to take P4 from Max Verstappen. Great overtake there as Noah and Charles Leclerc now trying to go at it, and Lewis Hamilton is behind all of this lot. So Hamilton definitely has not helped him doing this two-stop strategy. Reese has been fast enough to do it. Hamilton, it looks like, probably would have benefited by doing a one-stopper in this race. Now he's going to have to try and fight both the Ferraris, both the Red Bulls, then the Jaguar, and then the Red Bull, just to get up into P4. So it's really not worked out, this two-stop strategy for Lewis Hamilton. And as we go in towards the hairpin for the first time here, up in towards turn 1, Noah versus Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's got the better tyres, he can make that move stick, and that is him promoted up a position, but it's really not working out for him. Now, meanwhile, with his teammate, here comes Reese now on the attack. He's finally close up to my teammate Sam. Now Reese is going to go for the attack here on my teammate, and Reese goes over to the inside line. Sam is completely defenseless against this one, and does the smart thing there, and just decides to let Reese through. He can't hold off as long as he can. Verstappen is now overtaking Mason Wood once again, so their fight will continue onwards. And Lewis Hamilton there is closing up to Charles Leclerc, has a little look, but it's just a bit too far back on that occasion. But now a lap later, Lewis Hamilton going down the hill now towards the hairpin here. He's going to have a run at Charles Leclerc, has a look towards the outside line, sort of fakes that, tries to go towards the inside line, doesn't work on that occasion. Now he'll have the DRS here to open up against Charles Leclerc. This is his best shot now to overtake the Ferrari driver, and he pulls out to the left-hand side of the circuit and just breezes past the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Now he's got Devon Butler to attack, then he can go after George Russell, as Noah now is going to have a little look at Charles Leclerc here. He's going to break a little bit later. Hamilton locks up in towards the hairpin. Noah has to just think a second about it and believe that's not the overtake for him. Speaking of more fighting between these two drivers, Mason Wood is going to re-overtake Max Verstappen. These two have been having a great scrap all race long, and now Mason Wood there gets the overtake done on Verstappen. Job done, P4 is his. Hamilton is now going to make his overtake on Devon Butler. That is P7, I believe, now his, which just goes to show really has not worked out for him. Butler also not having a good race at all. Now we can see though that Mason Wood is under more pressure from Verstappen, so Max is really not giving up on P4 in this Grand Prix. Verstappen goes towards the outside line, but Mason Wood holds the inside line though, going in towards the hairpin. Verstappen locks up though in towards there. That just gives Mason the breathing room that he probably needed, and Noah further back is now attacking Devon Butler, and as they go in towards the hairpin here, it's going to be Noah that's going to try and come out on top in this scrap. He'd love to come out on top. Of course, this is his home Grand Prix as well as Mason Wood, so he really wants to try and put on a great performance here for himself, and as they go on through, it just doesn't work out, unfortunately. Noah has to sit back and wait a little bit longer. Mason Wood, though, has to keep looking in his mirrors because Verstappen's coming again, goes towards the outside line, and Verstappen is going to make that move nice and cleanly. It seems that they just can't pull away from each other. They're just so close in terms of pace, as Leclerc there has a little look at Lewis Hamilton. So despite that, Lewis Hamilton's still not happy with his car onto lap 26 of the Grand Prix, and Reese has finally now closed that gap right up to the back of myself. He's been closing, we've been putting some great laps in, but we have now made a bit of an error here. We don't have fuel really at our advantage. We don't have ERS really at our advantage. I was pushing really hard to make sure that Reese couldn't close the gap between me and him, but annoyingly, it's now 0.2 of a second. Reese is right behind us as we now go through in towards the final sector here, and up ahead is just one car in the, I think it's the Ford car there, that we're going to have to lap a little bit later on, but luckily he's quite far ahead for the time being as we now go through in towards the final sector here, just trying to keep our composure, try not to make any mistakes as we go through the sector last corner now, and we get a huge tank slapper there on the exit of the sector last corner. We were talking about mistakes. Rear tyres starting to go now in this Grand Prix as we now onto the pit straight here. That's really not giving us the great confidence we needed. We got a horrible line through there. Reese now with the DRS gets a massive amount of slipstream, goes to it up the inside line. We cannot fight that one. I just decided to try and do a switchback against Reese, and it doesn't work out for us. Reese now takes the lead of the US Grand Prix, and he can race off into the distance now, and the two-slot strategy working for Mercedes-Benz. But now, let's see if we can try and fight back. I am not going to give this one up without a good old fight. And Mercedes have been on such a long winless streak. They didn't win a single race last season. They were so close on so many occasions, but they didn't make it done. And I quite happily would like to see that streak continue, because the last time Mercedes won a Grand Prix was when I was in their seat 2 seasons ago. So let's see if we can try and make that streak continue as we now use overtake mode. And I literally do not have any fuel. I've just got to use what I've got. Reese though has got the DRS, but we've now got the back marker of, I believe it's Gasly in the way now, as we see now going in towards the hairpin corner. Reese brakes extremely early, in fact, but way too early into that corner there. We just dive it down the inside and we get back past Reese and retake the lead then of the US Grand Prix. And Gasly there now is just in front of us, and for some reason not moving out of the way yet. I had the warning for approaching back markers since the back straight, and Gasly still lining up in front of us here. So now as we go through in towards this triple right-hander, let's see if Gasly can just get out of the way. Gasly, please move. Move, Gasly. Get out of the way. Now to go. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, Jesus, right, okay, well, we've just collided with Pierre Gasly on the second to last lap there. He broke so early in towards that corner, completely caught me out. Now we've lost half of our front wing, but we remember back to Italy. We managed to make a good start of it this time. Up in towards the first corner, we go for it, up the inside line, make a little bit of contact with Reese. Now we're side by side in towards turn 1, but it doesn't work out. Reese can hold the position and hold the line, and we are not going to be able to fight this one anymore. And Reese will just soldier off into the distance, and I'm just triggered by Pierre Gasly being an absolute pillock. And there he goes, just driving on past because I've got no front wing end plate anymore. I've lost that entire side. The fact is that we had the back marker sign come up for at least half a lap, and Gasly just did not move out of the way, and he broke so early into the second to last corner, it completely caught me out. We've gone into the back of Gasly, now we've lost our front wing, and we just have to drag the car home now. And having a look on the mini-map, Sam is actually quite close, so in theory, Sam might come onto the back of us very, very soon if we're not careful. So now we just need to be patient and just get the car home as we now use the DRS here. And it's a completely red front wing. Look at this, right? Here's approaching back markers versus Pierre Gasly. And on that occasion, he didn't really give the room because there's a bit of contact there. But it just still, just get out of the way. And especially because it's a fight for the lead as well. Kind of ruins it there, which is really annoying because I felt like me and Reese would literally be scrapping at this specific moment now with him having the DRS and then me having it and so forth. But hey ho, it is what it is. As we go now through the final sector here, literally very, very gingerly at this point. Of course, I just don't have the grip anymore. Gasly's all over the back of me, but I'm not even going to bother letting you through because you're just ruined my race. Now as we've gone through, oh look, he's getting out of the way for Sam though. He moved there. Oh look, he got out of the way for Sam. That's completely fine. Second place it is going to be though. I'm kind of upset that I didn't win that Grand Prix, but I think if we put it into fair perspective, Reese probably deserved to win the race. He was the fastest by all of us on track, and of course, he just did everything right. The two-stop worked for him today, so credit where credit's due. Reese wins the Grand Prix and wins it by 5.7 seconds over us. Of course, losing our front wing end plate there kind of compromised our final lap. Sam finishes home in P3, only 6.1 seconds off in the end. What looked to be a bit of a strange race for Sam. He was behind the Audi of Butler and the Jaguar of VERSTAPPEN, recovered quite nicely and finishes in P3. Mason Wood finishes in P4 for Red Bull, a phenomenal home Grand Prix for Mason Wood, and he'll be delighted with that one. Max Verstappen finishes in P5 for Jaguar, again, a phenomenal result for Jaguar. George Russell picks up Audi's first points of the season with his P6. Lewis Hamilton's two-stop strategy, the same as what Reese did. It didn't work out for Hamilton, and he finishes in a lonely P7. Charles Leclerc finishes in 8th for Ferrari. Nico Hülkenberg finishes in 9th for Jaguar, and then Noah James rounds off the top 10 for Ferrari, with both homegrown drivers finishing in the points. Reese set the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 32.269, which was expected considering he did that on his final set of super soft tyres. Looking at the bottom half of the table now, Devon Butler finishes 11th for Audi. Quite clear to see that he has some sort of issue, otherwise he wouldn't have been that far down. Ocon finishes in P12 for Renault, capping off a miserable day for them. Pascal Wehrlein finishes in P13 for Porsche, with Lando Norris P14 for Red Bull. Norris wasn't really mentioned at all in the Grand Prix, to be honest. He did not have a good race. Nico Rosberg in P15, ahead of Pierre Gasly, Valtteri Bottas and Carlos Sainz, rounding off the 18 drivers that finished. Lucas Weber was the Williams car that DNF'd, and then obviously we saw Daniel Ricciardo DNFing from the Grand Prix as well. Now in terms of the Drivers' Championship, how's that changed things as we head on after round number 3? Well, we can see that we are still leading the Drivers' Championship. We're on 69 points in total, with Reese in second place now in the championship on 44 points. Lewis Hamilton is in third in the championship with 40 points, and then it is Sam in P4 with 39 points. Max Verstappen is fifth in the championship for Jaguar with 22 points, ahead of Charles Leclerc, who is in P6 on 18 points. Lando Norris is on 17 points. Then it is Mason Wood jumping up into the top 10 of the championship with 12 points. Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon for Renault on 12 and 11 points respectively. Now in towards the Constructors' Championship we go. McLaren are on 108 points and have made a cracking start to the season, with Mercedes being the closest contenders on 84 points, and already the top two teams have massively pulled away from the rest of the field. Red Bull are the next best to challenge Mercedes, and they are already nearly 60 points behind. They're on 29 points. Ferrari are on 25 points, tied with Jaguar for 25 points. Renault are on 23 points. Audi pick up their first points of the season and go in front of Porsche Porsche on 4 points. Ford and Williams are both on 0 points. However, we are suspecting that Ford may have an upgrade coming soon. When that is, we don't know, but we think that they might have something in the works, so maybe they can try and get some points later down the line. Now we're going to have a look at the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after this Grand Prix. And it's all coming pretty much from Mercedes and then also McLaren, the fight at the front. Mercedes have finally broke their winless streak. Of course, we explained that during the Grand Prix itself. Mercedes have not won for such a long time, and it's been very unusual to see that. Obviously, the last time Mercedes won a race, I believe, was Reese, if I can remember correctly, in the Singapore Grand Prix, unless there was another time for that, which was 2 seasons ago. They didn't win a race at all last season, and Reese says that he's happy to get that win after missing out in Mexico. Of course, Reese was clearly, the Mercedes cars in general were the fastest in Mexico, but the VSC gave Tom a nice clean victory, and Reese says that in this occasion he got the win that they believed he deserved. Unsurprisingly, Lewis Hamilton was unhappy with Mercedes' strategy today. Both Mercedes cars did the 2-stop, but it did not work out for Lewis Hamilton, and it was questions starting to arise as to why did Reese get to go onto the Ultra Softs again, and Lewis Hamilton had to do Super Softs in the middle stint. Surely if they're both from the same tyre compound, they could have maximised their strategy from it. Tom was furious with the back markers that were not getting out of the way during the Grand Prix. As we saw, there was the blue flag warning from the back straight, and it led all the way to the end of the lap. Now, Pierre Gasly eventually broke early in towards the second to last corner, which caught Tom out, which he obviously broke his front wing from. Tom, of course, mentioned that in terms of the contact between him and Gasly, that was his fault, as of course he drove into the back of him and should have just, got better, had some better reactions. However, the fact that he did not move out of the way for the entirety of the blue flag segment was absolutely ridiculous, that he said, and of course something needs to be done about it as it ruined a climactic finish. That is going to be it then for the F1 journey, round number 3 here at the US Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. Next time around, we are off to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix, so hopefully you guys can tune in then. But until then, I will see you next time. Take care all. Peace.